honoring the invitation of the Chamber of Telecoms. This is a thought leadership forum as part of the 5-year celebration or anniversary celebration of the Chamber of Telecommunications. Now, quite often we look back at telecoms and telecommunications in Ghana and we remember the early 90s, and what we have today is a massive improvement on when we only had just a one provider. Now everyone has a mobile phone or two, or one which has multiple SIM cards in them. But communication predates all of that, and some might even argue that communication goes as far as creation, because the waters had to listen to the voice of God when he said, "Let the waters be separated from the waters," when he called out light out of darkness. There was some communication and some response at the end of that. But even at the point of creation, he said, "Let us create man in our own image," and that itself shows the importance of communication. Communication has evolved from voice to data, and now we have the Internet of Things and all kinds of strange things when you look at them. But ultimately, they're all meant to make our lives better and give us better efficiencies at work and in how we get things done. The Chamber over the last 5 years have worked hard to ensure that as far as telecommunications in Ghana is concerned, you and I get the benefit of the best service that the providers can give, and that the regulators also do not take us for granted. And so this morning is an opportunity for us to hear from some wonderful and sharp-minded people who will give us a snapshot of what Telecoms has done in the field of agriculture, in banking and finance, in law, and also in value-added services. And we'll take a look at what happened 5 years ago and what could happen 5 years from now. I'd like to say that at this point, there's still some breakfast. If you haven't grabbed anything, this is a good time to do so. You're all very welcome. My name is Inshira Ado. I work with Joy FM, and I'm very happy to be your MC moderator this morning. Let's start off with a quick word of prayer, and I rehearsed this prayer, so I hope I deliver it well. Shall we bow down our heads? Our gracious Lord, we thank you for an opportunity to learn from each other. We thank you for placing us here in this nation, on this continent, and we know that you've placed within us things that will make this place a better place. Make that true and make that happen in Jesus' name. Amen. I would like to call on the CEO of the Chamber of Telecommunications, Mr. Kweku Sechiado, to give us a welcome address. Let's give him a round of applause.
Your Lordship, Justice Dateba, Mr. Nana Osei-Bonsu, Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Federation. I see lots of friends and familiar faces. We'll recognize them as we go along. So I'd like to say a very big thank you to all of you for coming. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to have you here this morning at this event commemorating 5 years of the Chamber of Telecommunications. But for us, what's more important really is that it's an opportunity to look back 5 years, see where we've come from, how we and our key industry stakeholders can bring what we've learned to bear on our services over the next 5 years and beyond. The Chamber comprises Airtel, Expresso, MTN, Tigo, Vodafone in alphabetical order. And then, of course, those network operators, and then We have ATC, Eaton, and Helios, the tower companies. The chamber was established out of a recognition that competition is great. However, on matters of obvious, incontrovertible, common interest, it's more efficient and effective to engage policymakers, lawmakers, regulators, and other key stakeholders as a collective for the primary purpose of serving all customers better. Based on that logic, the chamber was officially launched in November 2011 by then Vice President John Mahama at this venue, this hotel. A lot has happened in 5 years. And in an industry that is as dynamic as telecommunications, 5 years is a very long time. Just take a look at your handset and try and recall what kind of device you carried in 2011. I had a small Blackberry, and I thought it was all that, as the young people say. Blackberry Messenger was the chat application of choice. Remember? WhatsApp was yet to break through. A friend of mine came from the US and tried introducing a video phone device that came with miles of cable and an instruction manual the size of 2 Bibles. Today we can video chat via FaceTime or Duo, and now by WhatsApp without any complications whatsoever. And there are productive professional purposes to which these applications can be and are deployed. In these 5 years, the number of SIM cards has grown nearly 70% to a penetration rate of 134%. Data connections have more than doubled. 5 years ago, mobile money was just about getting started. The value of Ghana's annual transaction around that time was about 400 million Ghana cedis per annum. In 2015, that figure had grown to 35 billion Ghana cedis. And by the end of the first half of 2016, it had reached 30 billion Ghana cedis. But think of the job opportunities this has spawned for the 80,000 people who now make a living as agents. And these impressive numbers notwithstanding, only 1 out of 4 adults has signed up for mobile money. Over the past 5 years, mobile operators have invested over 3.8 billion Ghana cedis in capital expenditure and paid nearly 4.9 billion Ghana cedis in taxes and various other fees to the government. Currently, some 6,200 people are employed directly by members of the chamber, but 1.6 million are able to take care of themselves and their families because they depend on the telecommunications industry for their livelihood. Citizens are more productive today, working more efficiently, doing more with less, and impacting our gross domestic product. But make no mistake, the path of the telecoms industry has not been cushioned with roses. We've been buffeted by a less than ideal macroeconomic environment, just like our customers and everyone else. We are taking a big hit from high energy tariffs, which are taking up around 60% of operating costs. But we cannot ration our services. Tower companies cannot operate part-time. Operators have invested in 3G technology throughout the district capitals of our country, but in many of these places, the monthly revenue is a tiny fraction of the running costs, never mind the capital investment. Our revenues are in cedis, but our investments involve foreign exchange. So no doubt the depreciation of the cedi over the past 5 years has hurt the industry. Throughout these 5 years, inflation in communication services has been the lowest in the non-food category. Whereas the cost of our inputs rose, the structure of the market and the nature of competition held us back from sharing those costs. Now that's great for customers in the short term, but such a situation raises serious risk for business sustainability in the long term and for the industry as a whole ultimately. It doesn't matter whether you're wholly owned, it doesn't matter whether you're wholly foreign owned, partly foreign owned, wholly Ghanaian, partly Ghanaian. It does not matter. And so it was a surprise to many on the sidelines of the industry when only one operator put in a bid for a 4G license, when the expectation of those out looking in was that there was going to be a mad scramble with operators outbidding each other. So there have been hurdles and obstacles along the way. But that notwithstanding, we are hopeful about the prospects for the next 5 years and beyond. Opportunities exist for growth. For example, in mobile financial services and electronic payments. There are opportunities for government to make strategic policy decisions that will enable mobile money to be utilized across sectors, for citizens to make payments to government and for government to make payments to citizens. The possibilities for the future of telecommunications are immense, but they are not automatic. It's not automatic at all that those possibilities will be realized for the maximum benefit of all. Policy and regulatory clarity, transparency, and predictability are fundamental to teasing out the creative juices of innovators and the appetite of investors. And as a chamber, we are keen, we're willing, available, and eager to think through policies with government and its subsidiary institutions, to share knowledge and experiences from across markets in Africa, in Europe, Asia, and the Americas, where our members operate, so that all of us can do even better in the next 5 years than we have done in the past 5, so that Ghana can do even better than others have. There's talent, there's capacity, there's desire, there's hunger, there's goodwill. With the right environment, we can, we will, together, make the telecoms industry in Ghana great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give Kweku a round of applause. It's quite interesting he mentioned the Blackberry. I do know actually I only know one person who's very progressive, but when it comes to Blackberries, he does not want to change. And if you pay me a tidy sum, I'll tell you who he is, because he's right here and holding the Blackberry right now. So if someone's holding a phone at your table, look over your shoulder and see if it's a Blackberry. We're going to be crossing over to Kokomlemle in a moment. The rest of this morning will be carried live on Joy 99.7 FM. But we will be taking a quick word from the regulator, the National Communications Authority. And we'll be hearing from the Deputy Director, Consumer and Corporate, for Consumer and Corporate Businesses at the NCA, Mr. Malco Zomelo. Let's give him a round of applause.
We are very happy to be part of this 5-year celebration of the Chamber Telecommunications. We are in a mode of our 20 years of regulating, and I thought you'd give us a round of applause with our 20-year celebration. Thank you. It wasn't deep, but it's gratifying. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As I said, we are pleased to be with you. These are times when the industry is getting into overdrive. We've moved from the days when we knew nothing to the days where we've created competition, and competition means everybody upping their business. We at the National Communications Authority are upping our business, and we hope to continuously be at your beck and call. We commit to the strategic regulatory policies that are enshrined in the act that set up the National Communications Authority, meaning we endeavor not to deviate from it. We commit to clarity of regulatory policies. And as is always, we would commit to transparency and urge that we continue as a team. We've always worked with you as a team. We continue as a team. Give us your ideas. You give us your ideas. We implement your ideas. And the industry grows. As it were, we're moving from voice to data. These are days that the entire industry ought to move, because we are moving. I mean, I met somebody who said, anybody in Ghana who has money ought to be talking about bitcoins. Today, bitcoins. It's only you that can facilitate this kind of progress for this country. And on that note, thank you very much for inviting us. We'll be with you till the end of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zomelo. You're all very welcome to the Telecoms industry 5th year anniversary celebration, and as part of this, we're bringing you a thought leadership forum from the Holiday Inn Hotel here in Accra. We're going to be hearing from 4 individuals from various industries and or sectors of our economy. And we're going to start off with agriculture. The man we'll be hearing from founded a company called Preppies, and Preppies uses mobile technology to help provide accurate information and improve the lot of farmers. He is the founder and the CEO, and this value-added service provider has also been helping capture data which will improve the accuracy and rural income for our farmers. He also consults for the World Bank, and he does this on development of extensive electronic agricultural information systems for knowledge developers, local users, and also facilitate communication solutions for agri-businesses in West Africa. So if you just tuned in, we're coming to you live from the Holiday Inn Hotel, where we're bringing you the 5th anniversary celebration of the Telecoms Chamber here in Ghana, and this is a thought leadership forum on the last 5 years of the Chamber and the next 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Ko Sam.
Congratulations, Telecom Chamber. Thank you for this opportunity. We hope to do more with the Telecom Chamber, and I think beyond this, people would be able to add more by the 10th year. Our work has seen tremendous change as technology changed. Today, we've been able to capture farmers all over Mali, Ghana, and currently we're working in Nigeria, where we provide accurate data for where they are, what the size of the farm is, and what output we are expecting from that farmer. Such data has become very valuable to the banks because this was unfounded. The opportunity here is that the farmer is now known, his output is known, and therefore can be calculated at the national output level. We've been able to achieve this through the changes in technology. We used to have the edge, it worked but wouldn't do much. The district 3G expansion has done much, and the expansion of the edge platform. You know, as you move to 3G, the 2Gs and the edges become free, so it gives more capacity for these to work. We've engaged local developers. These are young graduates in Ghana and West Africa. They are not foreigners, and they've been able to build all these technologies that are working for the sub-region. This has also increased the uptake of agriculture graduates. Today, young graduates are getting employment because they are the data capturing agents. And based on that, we are looking at getting a huge employment from this. And it's all due to the introduction of these modern technological tools. Research, which used to be on the shelves, today are not on the shelves. They are now translated into local languages. In Ghana alone, we have about 7 local languages that farmers can call and get what they are looking for. This is not on the shelf again. And also, extension officer to farmer relations. FAO had the best practice as 1:1,500 farmers. This is unacceptable. Today, we will say that for information and farmer needs, which is basically tech support, it's just 1-to-1 because he has the device, the mobile phone. So that is what we've been able to achieve. We're looking forward to a situation where every rural person can now be recognized through the mobile technology and be financially capable of utilizing that service, not walking to the bank, but being able to deliver or receive or give out money or pay for other services through the same platform. There is a lot in this space, and I would wish to endeavor that we do more to bring the youth to come up to appreciate this. And on top of that, to also help our academia to change the kind of curriculum we are giving them today, to kind of focus on the modern technology and the modern trend so that we can see them more employable. I wouldn't want to bore you much, but I think we have more time, and would want to thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Korsam. Next up is a speaker who will talk to us about the value-added service space. When we first discovered mobile phones, we only used them to make voice calls, and then we progressed onto SMS, and then the Blackberry messenger came along, and that then disappeared. Now we have WhatsApp, we have Skype, which is under serious threat at the moment. But all of these are done by passionate and intelligent people who see the various applications that the mobile telephone and its platform can afford us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to bore you too much, but this is a man who in a lot of circles doesn't need any introduction. He oversees the delivery of mobile value-added services at Rancard, with a huge client base including Google, BBC, Voice of America, and many other, and mobile network operators right here in Ghana, more across Africa and the Middle East. Rancard's rendezvous technology makes mobile networks social with collaborative filtering, viral marketing, and other features that map user profiles voluntarily in carrier networks and with external social media platforms. Now, that's a lot and some of it went over my head. But to hear from a man who can break it all down for us, let's welcome Mr. Kofi Dadzi of Rankard Solutions.
Thank you, and good morning to our distinguished guests, and thanks to Kweku Sechiadu and the Telecoms Chamber for the invitation to share these thoughts. It's interesting that what we see and more importantly, what we experience as value-added services in mobile telecoms started out for most of us from, if we look at the Ghanaian context, dial your minds back to about 2001. This was a time when SMS was new, but there wasn't SMS interconnectivity. So if you were on one telco, you could send SMS to your friends if they were on the same telco, but not on to the other. So the next big thing was interconnectivity. And interconnectivity is actually the theme. It's actually the underlying theme that has pushed most of the developments we have today. Because if you jump forward several years to mobile money, the problem first starts with that there isn't really interconnectivity. If you go in between there to when banks locally started the ability to do electronic payments, it started with, well, you could only do it with your bank, you couldn't do it between your banks. So we'll have this theme constantly repeating. But once interconnectivity occurred, then it became economical for companies who would aggregate content, and it started mainly with content, it was entertainment and news, to be able to build a platform, connect to the different telcos, and enable people who create content, so mainly media publishers, entertainment providers, think back to the days of ringtones and stuff like that, to be able to distribute the content. And you would typically be billed a little bit of your airtime to enjoy the stuff. That's the history of mobile value-added services. That is almost essentially dead. Because underlying all of that is we've changed our habits. We've got new devices that have a lot of data storage capacity. And then we have high-speed data, which means that even if we're not storing the videos and the full-length tracks of music that we're playing, we can stream them. And so availability of cheaper, higher-end devices, higher speed data, ultimately, and then more interconnectivity have changed the way in which consumers engage data and content. But most importantly, we're not really paying for a lot of what we are consuming. So the middleman that made their business to aggregate content from media houses and from content developers, entertainment providers, and charge you your 10, 20, 30, 50 pesos, 1 CD to distribute that, is ultimately out of business. I'm not declaring the VAS industry dead. I'm declaring the old method what it is today. Consumers are no longer interested in that. So where is the opportunity to add value to services? What's changed is that the service layer has changed. Now, what pertains is we can access any published content which is available, but on the flip side, media houses and entertainment providers don't need specialists to distribute their content anymore. Anybody can build a website or an app, or can hire a kid barely out of SSS to build them an app or a website and can distribute their content. Uploading content is not difficult anymore. Distributing it is not difficult anymore. So where does the opportunity lie? Underlying increased connectivity, better devices, access to higher speed data is the generation of a whole lot more data. We're moving from kilobytes, past megabytes, past gigabytes, past terabytes, past petabytes, into exabytes and zettabytes. You're looking at 10 to the power 18, 10 to the power 21 generation of data annually. That is what's leading to a whole new service model. We're talking about value-added services, right? So adding value on top of this. The whole new service model is what's being touted around as big data. There's no better way to explain it. It's data and it's huge. It's big. Now, everybody's saying, how do we make value, or how do we make sense out of all the data we are generating? Now, it's going beyond the number of people in a room generating data, but even in this room, assuming there's 80 of us here, there's at least 160 devices. And they're not only our phones, there are other devices that also have network connectivity embedded in them. That's going to increase to the point where the ratio between human beings and connected devices is going to go to about 20 to 1, 30 to 1, 40 to 1. And so on the telco side, on the carrier side, the new growth is not going to be any more from number of subscribers. That's saturated beyond 100% in many markets. It's going to be number of additional autonomous devices that are networked, that are talking to each other, again, increased interconnectivity, that are generating not only a whole lot more data, but are generating a whole new service model for efficiencies. Imagine this. You have a couple CCTV cameras at home and you have lights. You're not home and it's getting dark, but a couple lights come on. Not all of them, only a few, so that you're actually conserving energy. And they don't only come on, but they, well, if they are LEDs, you can switch the whole thing on. If they are not, maybe there's a level of intensity. But then one of your CCTV cameras picks up what you call an alarm event, a bit of a movement where it doesn't expect, and it talks to another device which turns on a bit more light or makes a little noise. Plus, you get a message and maybe also a video live on your phone, seeing what's happening so that you can interact with the other devices, right? These are real experiences. You can extend them as far as concerned security or efficiency of power use, or monitoring of medical devices, or monitoring of pipes and grids. And that's what the new service layer is all about. It's about all the value that we can get on top of all the data being exchanged by all the additional devices that are interconnected and have become intelligent. That's what the future of value-added services is going to be all about. So on the carrier side, you're moving to a post-ARPU orientation. It's no longer about how much money am I making from the human subscriber. It's about what service model am I making available for all the new non-human subscribers that you're bringing onto your network. In value-added services, it's all about, can we build the artificial intelligence that can interconnect all these autonomous devices and give us services, new efficiencies, power saving, better security, better monitoring of equipment and factories and roads and all the different systems, medical services and so on. Can our lives be so much better because finally it's economical to have all these devices intelligently speaking to each other just the same way human beings do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, our next speaker is going to be talking to us from the perspective of financial services. Now, as a founder or co-founder and managing director of ZPay, he is a subject matter expert on banking and mobile payments. He comes on board with over 15 years of experience in banking and business development. Experience spans the world of marketing, branding, and banking, and has worked for some of the best global giants across more than 3 continents. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Andrew Techi Appiah.
Actually, I'm not sure what he said about me is true though, but I'm going to take it in good faith. So basically, for me, the story about where is mobile money going after 5 years of evolution, I would like to start from where it started from. So initially we had mobile money, which was basically for storage of value. Cash in, you can store your value in it. Cash out, you can take that value out. Then we said, look, what can we do with that? Can we move it from person to person? Some of us call it peer-to-peer. So we can move it from peer-to-peer. We did that very well. But guess what? During that same period, we had cards. We had prepaid cards, which could do the same thing as well. You could cash into a prepaid card. You could take it off an ATM or a point of sale. But there was a bit of behaviors involved in this. And some of these behaviors is the fact that, and it's proved itself, that Africans were actually not card people, were mobile people. So all of us had mobile, went to mobile. Then also the advent of telecom voice actually almost made the need to move money happen. Because we all have a need to move money. Either we're moving money to make a payment, we're moving money to make a transfer, or we're moving money for storage purposes. So telecoms made a lot of that happen, and it became exciting. The numbers that Kweku talked about also became very exciting. But then something interesting happened after that 5 years. Today, I think we've gone past a crossroad. Mobile money, for me, has moved away from just being a storage of value, being what we call a wallet. It's become an instrument. Today, mobile money is a payment instrument. We use it to make payments. It's become an alternative payment instrument. Either you use a check to pay, you use a card to pay, you use cash to pay, or use your mobile wallet to pay. It's also very exciting to say and note that it's an African story. My research is telling me that Africa actually is probably the only continent, middle of Africa, that today you can actually use mobile wallets as an instrument. Outside Africa, it's still basically a platform where you store and you take it out of a card. Apple Pay, for example, you have to have a card on it. But with us, you actually can use your cash as your source of funds from your wallet. So if mobile money today is an instrument, then for me, the next 5 years is going to be very interesting. What are the rules, what are the laws that will govern that as an instrument? What's the policy direction? It also tells you that mobile money has moved from mobile money to mobile financial services. It's actually become a key player in financial intermediation. It's no more what we bankers usually call e-channels or alternative channels. It is part of financial intermediation. You can buy investment on a mobile wallet today. You can use that same wallet to pay for investments. You can use it to make a payment. You can use it to make a transfer. So something else that's about to happen in this next 5 years as mobile money and mobile financial services is actually the advent of retail payments using mobile wallets. And that's what we're going to see in the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be an explosion where these mobile wallets in our environment will be acceptable at point of sale for payments, either through any form, whatever form of technology, be it NFC, QR codes, sound, etc., even apps just for payments. But these instruments are now going to become the way of life. And it's also showing a new behavior that is saying that there's no more the bottom of base that in 2008, 5 years ago, we're talking about, but it's all of us in this room. All of us in this room are going to start using our mobile wallets for payments because it's become the most convenient thing to do. By the touch of a button, you can do everything. So this is where we see it going, and obviously it's going to be driven by technology, it's going to be driven by policy, but I think that the regulators have set the right policy in place. So the policy direction has enabled that journey, and that journey is just going to leapfrog in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's the story, and that's my contribution. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and I'm really looking forward to the moderated discussion in a moment. Now we're going to be hearing from a man who uses a Blackberry. Sorry, that's not part of the script, but yes, he does use a Blackberry, and but he knows his law like no one does. He's the managing partner of one of our leading law firms, Bentiencho, Lecha and Ankuma, acknowledged leader in litigation and dispute resolution, possessing wide experience in the practice and in the teaching of company law, tax law, civil litigation, and procedure. He served on the International Court of Arbitration of the International Chamber of Commerce and as a regional vice chair for Europe, Middle East, and Africa of the Lex Mundi Managing Partners Committee. He has over 23 years of experience in legal practice. I am honored to welcome Mr. Ace Ankuma.
Years ago when WhatsApp started, I made a comment to my friends on WhatsApp that WhatsApp is a very poor cousin of Blackberry Messenger. Thankfully, none of them remembers that terrible statement because the years have proven to me that technology can change in a second, and if you are not up to scratch, you will be left way behind. Just tell me when my time is up. Okay. Now, when I came out of law school, and started practice in the firm that I still practice in. I'm boring. I don't change jobs. If I start one thing, I stick to it. One of the first things they asked me to do was to go take a typing class and learn how to use the computer. And my first response to my boss at the time, Mr. Bentiencho, was that I'm a lawyer. I'm not a secretary or typist. And he said, young man, if you know what's good for you, you get up right now and go and study it. I went in there and got bitten by a bug. Now, what do lawyers do? Essentially three things. We try to resolve disputes, advise on transactions, or counsel clients on their rights and duties, and hopefully make some money whilst doing that. Now, but what has happened over the years is that in all of these, lawyers have learned to produce such voluminous documentation that if you want to see a basic oil drilling contract, you're going to be seeing about 3,000 pages of documents. So legal documentation and legal work has become expensive, both for big clients and small clients. But now, as prices have gone up, technology has also come up. Because the reality is that a lot of the work lawyers do is becoming systematized. Basically, we are now relying heavily on back offices for our emails, accounting, word processing. And in terms of what lawyers do research, there are research tools: Westlaw, LexisNexis, Ghana Law Database. So in 5 key areas, our profession is threatened. But the good or bad news, particularly for the Ghanaian practitioner, is that we are wonderfully oblivious to the fact that we are threatened. There's online legal help, there's production of legal documents, there's intelligent search systems for litigation, there are fundamental challenges to the court system, and even in the selection of lawyers, in these 5 key areas, technology has gone very far. Let's look at online legal help. You don't, unless the case has not been printed, you do not need to, unless you love the paper, you don't have to go to Assembly Press anymore to grab the law. You go to the Ghana Law Database. And the good thing about this is that I don't have to read one law and read the other. I don't have to read one case and read the other. If I'm doing a search on the principles of consideration under Ghana law, I just sit behind the machine, call all of Ghana Law Database, and type consideration. And in 2 seconds, every case that used the word consideration is up on my screen. So I can begin to discriminate. This is relevant, this is not relevant. In a matter of an hour, I've done a complete legal research on every use of the word consideration and contract in Ghana law, and I haven't picked a law book. I have not entered the library. My firm tries to keep a good library, but the library is one of the least used rooms in the firm. Try as we can, because the cases are on the law database. And indeed, all England reports and Ghana law reports have been merged. So now I sit behind my machine and I can do a complete search on all England law reports and Ghana law reports without getting up. So often the revelation I go to court with, I caught it that morning by technology. So who needs a law library with those old musty books anymore when it can be on your phone, your Blackberry? Now, when it gets to production of legal material, there are lots of online services. The contract to build a house is often standardized. If you go to legalzoom.com, where they tell you, welcome, legal help is here. How may we assist you? Why will you need a lawyer? Rocketlawyer.com says, legal made simple. They say we have produced over 3 million documents to date and answered 30,000 legal questions and served 900,000 firms without ever meeting a lawyer. Now, what we didn't notice was that when Deep Blue beat the human chess champion, the rules of the game changed. It was supposed to be impossible for a computer to beat a human being at chess. And Garry Kasparov was it. He was the ish. Deep Blue won the first game. They drew the next game. I think drew the next one. And the last game was heading to a draw. And Kasparov was playing his best game. And he made a move. But then the computer made a move that no human being could have made. because Deep Blue was programmed to consider 5,000 moves per second. And it made the move, and Kasparov gave up. That is when the rules of the game changed. So the future started yesterday, and we are already late. Production of legal documents, you can go to docracy.com. It's an open collection of legal contracts and the best way to negotiate and sign documents online. Shakelaw.com is an app that helps you create legal contracts on your handheld devices, and they boast that we create, sign, and send legal binding documents in seconds. Who needs a Sankuma in this law firm? You can do it by yourself. In terms of intelligent search systems, case studies have shown that there is evidence that technology-assisted processes are indeed more efficient and can yield superior results to those of exhaustive manual review, as measured by recall or precision. Human brains forget. Artificial intelligence does not. So I may have a case today and think that these are the principles that apply, because I've forgotten that some other principles apply. But when there's artificial intelligence, it is impossible for it to happen. Now big data techniques are creeping into the law and are becoming more experts in predicting results of court decisions. For example, if you go to lexmachina.com, it does legal analytics. It reviews litigation data, insights, decisions, lawyers, parties, and patents, and it gives you information. Literally, if you have an IP case in the US right now, you just go to lexmachina.com. If you type your problem, the machine will go through the entire spectrum of US law, 30,000 decisions on intellectual property, and give you your legal advice in a matter of seconds. The court system, and I'll end with the court system. Who needs the court, really? Now I'm saying these just to maybe draw your attention. If I have a case against Inshia, and I intend to sue him for defaming me and Blackberry, I have to go file papers at the court, to be stamped, gathered, file opened, stamped, a court assigned, before we ever appear before a court. Why can't the court sit by a virtual court, audio link, which is already available in arbitration hearings? If you live in Tamale and I live in Accra and we have a case, we have to meet in Accra for the case to happen. Why can't you testify or make your arguments from there? Now there's what is called ODR, Online Dispute Resolution, which resolves disputes across the internet. It is called e-adjudication. And last year, it was used to resolve 60 million disagreements over the past few years, 60 million per year, among traders on eBay. That is 3 times the total number of lawsuits filed in the entire US system. So the computer, through the e-adjudication, is resolving more cases than the court system. If you go to modria.com, it's an online dispute resolution for commerce. And they say we have helped companies like eBay and PayPal solve more than 400 million cases. Even selection of lawyers is no longer by word of mouth. They rely on online reputation systems where clients pass on their experiences with lawyers, so that if the big business is coming to Ghana, it doesn't have to come to Ghana before it does a beauty parade of law firms. It can go to online search systems and say, who are the leading firms in Ghana? And it will get client references. Chambers International ranks law firms all over the world. And any established firm will tell you that a good deal of business from outside comes in through Chambers. The question is, have we positioned ourselves to tap into this? Or are we still stuck where we were? Where our law reports are released years after the fact, and often you stand in court and do not know the latest case. But in the UK, the judgment is uploaded instantly. So I have access to decisions of the UK Supreme Court from yesterday, and I don't have access to decisions of the Ghana Supreme Court from 2014. The question is, how are we positioning ourselves as a profession to take advantage of this? Because if we do not, we'd wake up one day and we have become ossified dinosaurs. Thank you.
Now, we're going to start a very brief but insightful discussion. Now, from the various sectors, agriculture, finance, law, value added, it's quite interesting. But I'm going to start off from a converged point where, as Kofi said, big data. Big data is providing the foundation or the platform on which a lot of the stuff that you would do, even for law, mobile money and agric and other things can thrive. How does that point, so there's transactions, there's trade, there's law, how can mobile technology or telecommunications enhance the interfacing of the various facets of our lives represented by the sectors that you work in 5 years from now? And I'd like to start that with Kofi, Kofi to start that.
Thank you, Inshira. The short answer would probably be identity and reachability or access, right? So the basis of any transaction is that there are parties involved and there is something to be exchanged, and that you want to know that person A is who they say they are and can be reached as person A. So one of the things which we have benefited from but have not made full value of is the power of identity which mobile gives us. We've gone as far as doing SIM registration. Our telcos certainly know who we are by our mobile number. Right now our banks do, because if you're the person with the account and the account is tied to your number and you're getting your transaction data on the number and you're using the number for mobile money or you're using it for looking up your account details, it's certainly you. So apart from Facebook, which is the global king of identity, I say that because you are who people say you are. So if you say you are Inshira, that's what you say. But if all four of us say you are Inshira, then it is true, right? So that's the power of identity which Facebook lends. But the telcos and the banks with the mobile subscriber identity number provide identity, and that's the fundamental basis for any transactions or trade to occur. And then the ability, obviously, to reach somebody and know that the person I'm reaching is the person they are. Now, the layers on which it will occur obviously are evolving from a voice call. Yes, typically, if I call you on your number, if somebody else picks your phone, I can often tell that it's not you, it's somebody else, normally. It gets more complicated when it's a signed document sent from an email address or from some other form of identity. But there are ways also of validating and assuring that, so digital signatures. What we need obviously is for legal, regulatory and statutory systems to accept to use digital systems, digital signatures, digital transactions. And we have a lot of the laws promulgated to support these, the Electronic Communications Act, Transactions Act. We need to really catch up as a society to have all this seamless. It will, at the very least, speed up the rate at which we are engaging each other in transactions and in trade.
Okay, Ace, that's very insightful. But you know, the whole identity thing, is that something that would be a limitation to us, especially if you would look at how we've utilized technology so far?
No, I think that it's to our benefit. Every challenge is in itself an opportunity. And I like to break things down even further. Simple WhatsApp. I'll tell you ways in which it has changed my practice. On any day, I have at least 5 lawyers going around the courts. Sometimes somebody gets to court and has about 2 matters and is delayed on 1. Now, in previous times, there'll be virtually no means of communicating because you'd have to come out and make a call, or if you didn't have a mobile phone, find some other means of telling someone, can you cover for me in court B? Now, because we have a WhatsApp group of all the people in the department, they said, I am in trouble in court 1. I need somebody to stand on a case for me in court 2, who is free. And in second, somebody says, I just finished my case, I'm available. So the covering happens without, and this is very basic. I'm on a few law WhatsApp groups, my year group, friends at the bar, and a few times somebody's been in court and is being faced with an argument. And we just receive a message, can anybody tell me the current state of the law with respect to this? And somebody pops it, I said, thank you, I'm going to argue it. So the lady or gentleman just stands up in court and said, my lord, there's this other case which was decided by the Supreme Court, and it happens. So, and this is WhatsApp. Now people are using WhatsApp to send nude pictures. But actually, it can influence your practice. So before we get into the whole identity thing, the question we should keep asking ourselves is that, do we see technology and its changes as a challenge that we cannot surmount? Or are we seeing embedded in the challenge an opportunity when something as basic as WhatsApp changes our practice? The whole firm has a WhatsApp group. And so the day it flooded in Accra, we knew who was stuck in the office and who could not go home and whose house was flooded. So we sent people, go. Emilia's house is flooded. Go see what help you can give to her. And it was a disaster situation because there was a flood. But we knew, we said, everybody check in. I said, check in, I'm safe, I'm safe. Within a matter of an hour, we knew where all 85 members of staff were and who was safe and who needed help. And this is basic technology. So can you imagine what happens if we incorporate even deeper technology into our practice? So I like to break it down. Basic WhatsApp, if you utilize it well, can change the nature of your practice.
In talking about technology, now, basic, advanced, let's go as basic as consuming food and core. You're in the agri sector and payments. Now, Kofi prepared for a part of this because Ace talked about the Deep Blue and Kasparov situation, and computing has evolved, way beyond that now, where AI is being touted as something that would revolutionize the way we do a lot of things in certain parts of the world. How is it possible, 5 years or so from now, that I can be on a platform, I should be able to order groceries if I have staples? Is it possible that 5 years from now I could be ordering groceries from one of your farmers without meeting them and sitting on a platform that maybe Kofi and his team developed? How do you see this happening?
Yeah, sure. I think it's going to happen not 5 years from now. It's going to happen maybe tomorrow, or it's happening. What's happening is that the farmers we are registering at the moment are now having an identity which is very useful for the bankers. So the bankers are excited that, okay, you're getting this out of the investment or the commitment we make towards this farmer. The next thing is that there is an aggregator who is excited that, okay, I know that if I went to Techiman today, or if I was in Ofuman area, I'm going to get 5 tons of yam, or I'm at KJB, is the volume of commodities of tomatoes or something that I'm going to get. Based on that, and based on the farmers that he has, who are also using this basic fund to say that I planted my tomatoes this day, so therefore the harvesting date is this. Both the banker and the aggregator can come into terms and then be able to pay or kind of put an escrow to the farmer to know that, hey, there's something you're expecting. The aggregator is going to pick it up. If he confirms it, I pay you. So this is the kind of cloud that is going to be created, and I don't think it's going to take 5 years. It's going to take next year, or I know some people are working at it. Maybe Kofi, what he's doing at it.
You do sound optimistic, but contrasting where we are now, your experience with the farmers, to say 5 or 3 years ago, what kind of improvement can you say has happened that gives you reason to believe we'll do more?
I believe that 5 years ago, these farmers were not even known by the bankers. No data was available. That big data was not there. Today, if we are offering that data, Kofi can utilize it. Looking at the farmer identification, Kofi can utilize it and tell the banker that, hey, from what Sam is giving on this platform, We can tell you that this is the age of the farmer, he has a farm insurance, he has personal, all the things that makes the farmer recognized in the commercial sense. We are not going to do the subsistence farming again. I don't think farmers would want to do that, or people who are into farming today would want to do that. So, based on that, the banks also see that, look, let's go bank our money there. How much do we need to put up front? How much do we get out of it? The aggregator is also excited because, look, I know that what I'm looking for, pay the data, I'm getting it out. That is it.
Yeah, so the financial services sector 5 years ago didn't know that we had a lot of farmers who needed their help, at least per ECO's experience. You've taken the model of transaction to a level that quite a number of these people may not be used to. How will the next 5 years, with the rapid evolution of technology, how's that going to impact negatively or positively on the demographic of our society that don't read or write, but would also want to be included in the financial system?
Well, look, it's interesting conversations. I think Kofi touched on something I like, which is identity and the mobile. And then let's go back to telecom. So because we have a voice number, which is your mobile number, today we've been able to plug KYC to it. We've also successfully been able to run a program that says that for you to have a SIM card, it must be registered. I actually tried buying a SIM card for my guest last night, and I had to take my passport this morning. So we clearly, for you to have a SIM card, it must be registered. We've got KYC sitting on that. We're now able to leverage that KYC for the first time for big data. It will interest you to know banks, other institutions, we collect data. We have a lot of repository of consumer data, but we don't do any analytics on them. But today, at least with a tap or call of a phone number, you should be able to get your own onboarded KYC data or secondary data from the telecom. Now, how do you leverage that to be able to know consumer behavior, to be able to know buying patterns, to be able to serve that customer? Okay, at the same time, so how do you leverage that to take consumer activities to the next step? So you're talking about, for example, can you even buy groceries from the farmer? Yes, you can do farm gate transactions. Today we already do farm gate. We used to do it for cashew in the early days. I think today you can even do it for yam. So you can actually order, pay with your mobile phone. The farmer also knows who you are, etc. So coming back to how do you then bring these farmers and these excluded parties into the included environment in terms of financial services? Think about the farmer who's probably a smallholder farmer, farming maybe even just grains, for example. That farmer is farming grains. He wants to store that grain so he has value in future and therefore does not lose value today. Because of the mobile, because of that phone number, and because of financial aggregation from MFS, he's able to take it. They can plug technology onto it and give him a certificate, which is also electronic and sits on its phone that says on a certain date he can come back and take his crops and he'll be paid for it. At the same time, a buyer sitting somewhere else who's miles away can actually leverage that same information and make a payment even to the farmer before him going to farm the warehouse to pick it up. He can even just leverage that same technology to tell the warehouse, I've got my payment, release the goods to XYZ because this is his phone number. Okay, so I think that it's not going to be 5 years. It's going to be the next 1 year, the next 2 years. Today, you can actually even just go online and plug crocodile activities home. These 3 words can actually make you find an address of a human being. That's how scary it is. Today, you can actually go into a particular platform, type in 3 words, soil, location, rain, and you can actually find the best place to grow a certain type of crop. And that farmer is already in that environment. So I think for me, it's not a 5 years conversation. It's more like what is the preparation we're doing for where the journey is going from a legal perspective from a policy perspective, from a regulatory perspective, because we've gone digital.
Interesting.
Maybe out of a need.
Interesting thoughts. Let's bring in our audience, and I'm going to borrow one of those microphones. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is a Thought Leadership Forum as part of the 5-year anniversary celebration of the Chamber of Telecoms in Ghana. And we're looking at a conversation on the theme, the telecoms industry 5 years ago and the next 5 years. Now, I would like to invite some thoughts from you, Dr. Odwe, Dr. Adrian Odwe. Now, we've learned how telecoms has affected positively agriculture, how it's, giving some real good access to information to the lawyers. The mobile money space is also very vibrant. To realize that we've had more than 30 billion Ghana cedis of transactions go across the platform as of June alone this year. Tells you that technology is really revolutionizing a lot of things. But when it comes to health, I'm still used to going to sit in front of my doctor and talk about what my problems are. How do you foresee the convergence of telecoms and patient-doctor relationship?
Thank you very much, Insha. I actually see it as a very exciting development in our quest to deliver quality healthcare. Technology has offered us very, very useful tools. As Lawyer Ankoma said earlier, even using WhatsApp has done so much. Everybody has WhatsApp. If you have an X-ray taken, I can take a picture of that X-ray. If I can't even have download it onto the phone, that picture can be sent to a specialist anywhere, and you'll get your opinion in seconds. You can do what you have to for the patient right there and then. It could even be a patient's laboratory results. Take a picture of the results, send it back, and that's a visit saved, because you can prescribe again over the phone, talk to a pharmacist, and get the patient the medications he or she needs. And so technology really has offered us a lot, especially in accessing various specialists, healthcare professionals, and the making sure that patients get convenience in their care. You've also mentioned payments. I mean, paying for services at facilities, again, is much easier if you have a POS. So it's not just the patient care, there's also the business side of it as well. And we know in telemedicine really is medicine and how you can use technology and telecommunications to enhance it. And these days it's you can use it even just to maintain your equipment. You could be connected remotely. Your software updates are done automatically. You always have the best out of whatever equipment you can get. And so there's not just the patient care side, there's the equipment side, there's the administrative side, which is all enhanced by telecoms and technology.
How about surgical procedures? How will technology impact that space?
Well, in telemedicine, a lot happens. I mean, with telemedicine, you're there, you have the nurse, you have a patient, and on the other side, you have the specialist that you need. And so you are able to get the best possible opinions from specialists who can tell you directly and can also visualize what's happening. Do this, ask that, touch here, and he's seeing and can give you the feedback. Now this is going to go a bit further, because now there are robotics equipment being developed, to do what we call telesurgery. So that's also something that's going to come up in the next 5 years.
Interesting stuff. Now, the critical pillar of any society is the media. And let me bring in the man himself, CEO of City FM, Mr. Samuel Atamensa. The media has evolved as far as using telephones and telecommunication is concerned. I mean, we're all on YouTube, we have online channels, and the content that is generated is consumed. But how will the media leverage the coming evolution of, say, 5G technology, big data, and the value-added services space, as Kofi exposed earlier?
Thank you, Insha, for the opportunity. I think it's like asking a consultant to tell you how Messi plays football. I mean, we all know how he plays football. And the interaction between the media and their audiences is always work in progress. I mean, nothing hidden to the normal eye. Let me step back 20 years, and I'm talking about from 96 up until now. We have seen serious departure from the way things were done with media production, presentation, and all. The substance really hasn't changed much, but the form has changed so much. I mean, I remember in 96, we are close to elections, so I can talk about elections. 96, how we covered the Ghana elections, for instance. I mean, you didn't have the opportunity of getting information unless you moved physically to where the thing was happening. I mean, we were embedded in the offices of the political parties because that was the most efficient way of getting information. I mean, we didn't have effective ways of verifying. So whatever they told us was the news. Moved to 2000, where we had seen the internet, people having more access to the internet. Even 2000, we didn't make much use of the internet with coverage. But telephone was available, and so voice communication became the thing. Moving on and on, now we are seeing a better activity with data communication. And your access to data at the speed with which you access data becomes the area of competence that will help you win. And so the media has kind of just been at the back of technology. Technology moves, the media moves. And then social media comes in. And social media has really taken over even news production. Back in the day, in the 80s and in the early 90s, when news broke, what you would typically do in Ghana is to wait for BBC Focus on Africa. And I know there are some adults here who will bear with me. And then Joy FM became the thing. News breaks, you want to see whether indeed Joy FM will say it. And then other stations came. But what we have now, when news breaks, first of all, you take your phone. You take your phone to check whether social media has it. And then the next thing is that you look again for verification from credible websites. Just a few days ago, some websites started announcing the death of our former president. And I asked myself, why would people believe this? But why do I blame them? Because of unbridled access. Strangely, technology has given us the benefit and has also given us the problem. And our new problem is quality control in information dissemination. We have so much, we don't even know whether it's true. And so the new challenge for media management is quality control, data management. About 99% of media practitioners in Ghana do not even know how to mine data using the facilities available. You go to the Western world, one can sit in their office 24 hours and yet be ahead of news production. Year 2000, 2004, I was all over the place following politicians when they are doing their rallies. But today, 2016, I sit behind my computer through Facebook Live, I know what is going on. And so, in the late 60s, early 70s, when the ARPANET and those ones were developed, I'm not sure they could even envision what it was going to look like 20, 30 years ahead of them. So it's very difficult to make a strong determination of how things are going to go, but what we can say is that it will help make news production more efficient. It's for us to make good uses of it. Another thing is that it's one thing going for products, technology products, and another thing applying products to value-laden services. There are times we invest in so much money in products and yet are not able to utilize it for our benefit. So I think it's going to be interesting how we see the next 5 years. It will still continue revolutionizing news production and media engagement with the public. And I think so far, that's how I look at it.
You talked a bit about how the newsroom has been impacted by the media. How about the media space itself in terms of inter-media house collaboration? Where does Telecoms sit in that space, and how has that helped?
Well, I think intermedia house collaboration, then you are looking at how we have shared news resources or verification process. I think it's clear to everyone how right there when news breaks, you know how to do your comparison. Again, currently with WhatsApp and other social media tools. Okay, so I work for City FM and radio station. We don't have a radio station in Kumasi, but what we do is that we have a number of radio station partnerships, and everything is done on social media. We do our news conferencing every morning just on social media. And some of them are local language stations who don't communicate in English, but on social media we're able to share ideas on daily basis. So it also enhances interactivity among competitors, which brings co-opetition in certain areas.
Now, the technophobes will always abound. However, technology, improves and evolves. And I would like Ace to take this one. Your short presentation opened our eyes to how much information there is out there that helps and affects the practice of law. But how does this technology affect your relationship with the end user?
Okay, very interesting. One of the naughtiest matters I ever handled involved the seizure of the Argentine war vessel in Accra, and the judge who ultimately threw us out of court is here. I worked for about 6 months on the matter. I met only one of the clients. Actually, it was my runner, the lawyer two, because he used to fly to Ghana. I never met a client. The first day I met the funds behind the people whose names I had known was a month ago, when the deal was over and it's been paid, and they said, come to New York for the closing. I worked for them over 6 months. They paid all my fees, but we never met. The practice of law used to be the client comes and waits in your reception, and sometimes it's like a hospital reception. One comes in, then they shift on the bench, and the other comes in. There are several of my clients that I've never met. The instruction comes by email, you verify who they are, they give you the instruction, this is the contract, this person in your country has breached the contract. Go to court. End of story. Now, it kind of dehumanizes the work, but the volume of work and the speed of turnover does not allow the luxury of a long face-to-face meeting discussing the weather in London. And so turnaround time is quicker, and we must catch up. I know a law firm that did a lot of work over and sent a bill, and the foreign client said, can we have your recorded hours? And they have none. So they asked, how were you able to generate a bill asking us to pay X amount of dollars when you can't produce your hourly billing? And so what it does is that even for your back office, I have an IT steering committee of about 5 people who are constantly coming to me and say, we need to update this. We need more end users for this. We need to do this. We need to buy this. Our servers are getting full. We need new configurations of servers. That is where the practice is going to. So the quality of your service, the speed of the service. Now, like I said, if you have a typical oil drilling contract and it's 3,000 pages, how are they going to send it to you? In boxes in one plane? No. They're going to tell you that there's a Dropbox open. Go in there and get the documents. So if you have what's a Dropbox? It sounds like a chop box. If you have no clue, the business is not coming to you. Right? In one of the hearings we had in London, look, in Ghana, sometimes we still speak at dictation pace because the judges are still writing in longhand. If you're lucky, you might get a dictaphone. If you are not too lucky, you'd get somebody typing as you speak. And when you ask for a record of proceedings, often you have to go back and sit in court with the clerk to correct what is there, to edit what is there. But if you have arbitral proceedings in London, and they're paying a lot of money for that, by the time you leave the hearing and reach your hotel, the transcript has been sent to you by email in about 5 formats, in Word, PDF, whatever. The record of proceedings are ready. Because as you speak, your words come up on the screen because there's somebody who is trained and his job is to do all of that. And so in one of the hearings, I actually referred to Dumso, and he put 2 asterisks there. I saw the asterisks, he didn't know what it was. After he came to me and said, sir, on line this, you said this. I said, oh, that was Dumso. You referred to some Ghanaian authorities, can you spell them for me? So I gave him the spellings and citations. By the time I got to my room and switched my machine on, the entire day's proceedings were ready. So by the time you go back to the next day's proceedings, it's real. So you can do day-to-day hearing. But that is difficult here when somebody has to type or somebody has to get it on the dictaphone, transcribe it. We had a matter that closed 3 months ago. We're still waiting for the record of proceedings so we can file the arguments. So technology can only make us better in terms of how well we represent our client and the time of turning over the advice. So a lot of the speed that you see, it probably has nothing to do with the lawyer being good. It has to do with the fact that that lawyer has learned to use technology.
Thank you very much, Ace.
Now, let's take a question.
My name is Richard Nee Anekwe Abi. I'm from the Business and Financial Times. Looking back at 5 years of the Telecoms Chamber, and you look at, let's say, 5 years ago, what Telecoms has become. I mean, we have great improvement and some of the services we get and all that. But I'm trying to look at it from this angle. Let's look at data. We are talking about the Internet of Things and other things data can do for us. But let's look at how many of even the telcos have access to 4G. And let's look at how even 4G came about, and I mean, how many of the players have access to 4G. And we talk about Internet being the enabler of things, and we talk about the Internet having a multiply effect on our GDP. I have a paper in front of me which talks about total tax contribution of the telcos to our economy, and that is about 4.92 billion. And you look at the capital expenditure of the telcos within that same period, that's 3.82 billion. So clearly, you could see that there's a disconnect. While we are talking about the telcos having an improvement on our lives, someone out there is thinking about the telcos being some sort of cash cows, and that sort of disconnect does not allow that sort of multiplier effect that we are thinking or we are projecting that would happen. So I think that if we can move forward, or if we should move forward, we should have the regulators and the telcos in sync, because why should it be that you pay more taxes than you even get to invest in your network improvement? I think that sort of disconnect, if you have to look forward the next 5 years, and these things should continue, trust me, we are going to have improvement, but compared to other economies where the telcos are helped and assisted, but you're not going to have any major improvement.
My name is Chonam Apello. I'm AGI chairman for Greater Accra, but I run a technology company, Telecoms. And so I like the speakers to comment on the dichotomy between unemployment and technology. You'd have realized that there's so much technology and its ability to do a lot more great things. At the same time, very few human abilities are required to make these things happen. And so you see that there's a heavy increase in poverty and unemployment. At the same time, very few are getting richer and better over time. Just last week, I was doing some work in Lusaka, and then by the time we're done, the client have to fire about 17 people because now he doesn't need their service again. And I'm seeing an increasing trend where we appear to be looking at only the advantages of what technology has to offer without properly having a comprehensive analysis of the entire situation. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll add one to this one. The future of mobile money, and should banks be worried about that? So, Ace.
Well, in my sector, and sorry, I can do nothing else. It is an interesting story. I think that we've even expanded faster because of technology. I don't have to lay people off. The fact that I have a quicker turnaround time means I can take on more instructions. So what has happened is that we put the lawyers straight out of school, take them through the training, they get on to how the culture of the firm, and there's such a quick turnaround time that others, no, like the recommendation, you take it there, you get your job in time, hopefully, right? And so it creates more work. So I think that, yes, I can see the maybe with what we call non-fee earners, we probably would have had 2 secretaries per department, but now it's 1, because the lawyers generate their own documents. But look at the time it saves. The lawyer doesn't have to write a 50-page memo in hand, give it to a typist to type, come back for editing, go back for typing and bring more mistakes before the advice goes to the client. The lawyer is typing it himself. So once he's done or she's done, it goes to the partner takes a look at it, it's edited, it's ready, emailed, gone. Next job. So the issue is how we position ourselves. Look, every challenge is an opportunity. So the person who had to lay off, he had to lay off because there were no new jobs coming. So maybe that is what we need to deal with. That for somebody who has become efficient and is able to use technology, how come no new jobs are coming to occupy the 17 people and he's had to lay them off? So it is deeper than just seeing technology as a threat. I think that the challenge is the opportunity. Because if he probably markets himself well, that no, the job that takes the other guy 5 days, I do it in 1 day. He probably can attract more business. But maybe I don't understand it, but that's my view of it, that technology is not a threat. It's a challenge and an opportunity.
I suppose, yeah, Andrew.
Actually, I would like to respond to that and the one before that. So, in my view, the last revolution before Christ will come is technology. That revolution will be borderless, it will be cultureless, it will be peopleless, It will be everything less. It will just be technology. It will create secondary innovation. Granted, Uber is a secondary innovation. Uber runs on an existing platform. Somebody manufactures a car. Somebody thinks about owning a car. Uber builds an app and say, you know what, I'll take you to market. So technology is no more a threat. It's here to stay. But how do we leverage that when we don't have a job to create a secondary innovative platform that gives us money? Which is probably why we have new platforms coming up and emerging every day. There are a lot of startups in all these ecosystems, be it Ghana, be it wherever in the world, which do different things. We never thought Snapchat would stay, but Snapchat has come to stay. We never thought Instagram would make it, but it's found a use. So my point is that it's not a threat, it's actually an enabler. It's going to enable us to participate in the new digital revolution. It's going to open markets, it's going to open employment, it's going to open many things. Sometimes it'll be boutique, it'll be 5 people. Sometimes it'll actually be hundreds of thousands of people. It'll be a Google, Facebook environment. It would enable us to scale faster and get to where we need to get to quicker. In terms of the convergence between the taxman, the network operators, etc., I actually think you've touched on a very interesting point. For me, what is the policymaker doing? What is government doing to make sure that these platforms that have come to enable the next growth be able to run without all that cost? Or how do you minimize the cost? Because actually, a lot of times you find they are not making money. They are burning a lot of cost. The cost to run these engines, these backbones, are significantly high. From a licensing perspective, people, consulting, etc. So I actually don't think they're making so much money. I think it's really probably how we understand the environment. And I actually am challenging government itself. What is its plans going forward to make sure that these enablers are around and therefore their operating cost is reduced either from a tax perspective or some kind of breaks that enables them to do a lot more innovations. So that's my contribution to the talk.
Thank you, Andrew. The scenario I have is not too different from what Ace described. At the height of our legacy BS business, we built this network operations center in our office, large wall, multiple mega-sized screens, monitoring data hardware, memory, hard disks, network connectivity devices, firewalls, load balancers in our data center in Dallas-Fort Worth in Texas, and the secondary data center in London, both of which nobody in Rankine had ever visited. Connecting to up to 75 telecom operators in 25 countries and 3 continents, 90% of which nobody in Rankine had ever visited. Connecting to Google's mobile gateway in India, whom we never visited. But we were paid tens of thousands of dollars every month to manage all of that. And as a result, our network operations department became the largest team of engineers in the whole company. The people we signed contracts with never met. We were connecting actually to each of these networks. Sometimes we were writing variant software configurations because they had proprietary protocols. Never met anybody. In most cases, we never even talked on the phone with anybody. You know, and there's no way we could have grown and expanded, right, and built all of this. In fact, there's no way we'd ever have even won that business with Google and all those telcos, except for what telecommunications and technology enables. If we'd had to build an actual data center infrastructure locally, it would have required probably 4 standby generators, would have had to hire electricians and all kinds of stuff. The cost of putting up the infrastructure, having different types of fire suppression systems, it would have been so high that it wouldn't have been economical for us to win those businesses, even if we had the best abilities. But because of the reliability of what the infrastructure enables, we could own hardware and networks we had never seen. I mean, literally, we buy these servers. We tell them we want these HP servers, configuration, how much memory, processing power, put these firewalls, and we haven't seen any of it. All we get is the hardware is up, we're connected, it's ours, we're controlling it, we're deploying our software on it, we're connecting telcos to it, we're connecting software and content providers on it, but we've never seen the hardware, we're controlling it. You know, and the expansion of our business was largely based on that. So the question is, are we preparing ourselves to take advantage of the global opportunities that connectivity enables? Or are we going to be the ones losing the jobs? Somebody is going to lose some jobs. That is natural. I think in totality, there will be more opportunity. But in the evolution, there will be some pain and some gain. And the question is, where are you going to be? How prepared are you going to be for the gain side, which ultimately eventually expands and becomes value to everybody, but initially is going to be pain for someone?
Well, from my point, I think that the way technology is moving, if you look at the art space, where first and foremost, that location never had a bank. It's a small community. If you wanted to put up a bank there, you need an infrastructure. The building, your satellite dish, your staff, your cost of air conditioning and all of that. With the current mobile money, Momo dispensation, you realize that that little girl who finished SSS and is not getting access to possibly further education, or would want to make some money before entering school, is now an agent for the mobile network, selling scratch cards, doing mobile money transactions, and other services like subscribing DSTV and all of that. To me, I see this space, or from now to the next 5 years, as an opportunity for the youth, where I wouldn't want to preempt, but I can tell you that we should be getting about 1 million people getting jobs in that space. We are talking of local data, inter-network between Vodafone, MTN, Tigo, and within their own internal networks. What kind of data are we even creating for them? It's zero. There is no internal real data consumption apart from WhatsApp. But the peer, when I talk of peer-to-peer internally, it's virtually empty. So till that space is filled, I think the job opportunities are unlimited.
Interesting thoughts. Let me acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Clarissa Kudo, who's with the Payment Systems Department of the Bank of Ghana. I acknowledge you at this point because I also have an ulterior motive to actually ask a quick question of you. The mobile money space is fast, developing. I think from some of the data available, 5 years ago, turnover was around 400 million, and you're now talking in excess of 35 billion as of December 2015. And as of June of this year, we were almost 5 billion shy of what we did the year before at 30. How will this grow, especially considering a market where we have a multiplicity of operators, so that I can send money to anybody, irrespective of what network they're on?
Thank you. Bank of Ghana currently is in engagement with the industry to have an interoperable platform where seamlessly consumers can do business on their phone without knowing who the other person is switching through. A vendor has been selected. The engagements have begun for the design and implementation. We are hoping that by the end of this year, or latest by the first quarter of next year, that should be possible.
In your estimation, how much of an impact will that have on the market?
I'm not too much involved in the technical discussions, but I know the switch cater for both the networks as well as the on-us networks. And so if we are going to have all that data sitting on one switch, I believe there will be so much for us to see what is happening. Because currently they give us the data individually, but now we'll see all the data that is coming on the mobile money platform.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kudowa, for that one. Any more questions? I think we'll take just one or two more before a round of final words from the panel. Okay, I guess we can go to our final words. Let's start off with Mr. Samuel Atamensa. Quick 1 minute summary if you have anything to add to what you said earlier.
For us in the media, we just pray that the telecoms companies will remain telecoms companies, because they look like banks now. They are getting more money from banking than even telecoms. And again, we also look forward to a closer partnership between the media and the telecoms companies, because you know that the whole convergence between what used to be defined as telecommunications 20, 30 years ago, which was just phone calls. Remember the days when you had to do international call, you take truck first to Circle, then you take another one to Accra, then you cross to where they call PNT International. They go and queue before you can make 1 minute call to the US, collect call and all those things. But a closer partnership between media and telecommunications. Indeed, there are certain services being provided by telecoms companies which is just replicating what the media does. So that's the point of collaboration that I'm talking about.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, over the next 5 years, I, as I've said, would really love for all health practitioners to incorporate more technology in their day-to-day activities and their work in all aspects, not just in direct patient care, but also in providing patient information and health education. These days, we're gonna have, shall I say, smart devices. We'll have a machine which can check your blood pressure, and you know, you have a reagent strip, it can check your blood sugar and transmit these to your doctor. So there you see everything working at once, and this could be from the remotest parts of the country. So you will also be able to get information directly back from your doctor. Okay, everything is fine, continue as is, or change this or that. And so, you know, it's just going to get better and better, in my opinion. And in our quest to make sure that we have a healthy society, I look forward to the collaboration.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adrian Odwe, the Medical Director and owner of Akai House Clinic. And I'm going to turn to our panel now, and I'm going to do it in reverse order. Ace Ankoma will speak first this time. Final thoughts from you, Ace.
If you go to, or a service you expect. I do not remember the last time I visited my bank. There's no need, because I do everything on the net with them. At the end of the month, I don't have to sign 89 checks. I get, the platform comes up, I click, and everybody gets paid at the same time. So my life is easier and simpler. I've never met this man. He's been my client for 5 years. He didn't know how to say it. He just told me that, actually, you are my lawyer. I've been in your department for 5 years, and I've been sitting on the platform with him. And he's now telling me about the matter I'm handling for him. He's like, oh yeah, so it's you. And we've never met. Earlier this year, I sat at a conference addressed by, I think the guy who is scary, he's called Richard Susskind. And he has a book, a 2008 book titled The End of Lawyers, ? And he says that research suggests that traditional lawyers will in large part be, quote, replaced by advanced systems, or by less costly workers supported by technology or standard processes, or by lay people armed with online self-help tools, unquote. I will not be relevant as a lawyer if I do not recognize that there are people competing for my space. So what I have to do is to continue to make myself relevant by making sure that I have access to advanced research systems, that I have access to the technology and standard processes, and I have access to the online self-help tools myself. Innovate or perish. You can be Samsung or Kodak. It's your choice. Or Polaroid, that's worse. It's your choice.
So I get there's a standard debate that says, will banking make it? And then there's another school of thought that says banking is finished. I think thanks to telecommunication, starting from voice to the data, in my opinion, what's happening is financial intermediation will be here forever. But it's now going to have classes of financial intermediation. You're going to have commercial banks, non-bank financial institutions, mobile financial services. All of them will play in the same ecosystem. Some of them will sponsor each other. Some of them will partner. Some of them will act as distribution. Some of them will act as delivery channels. But from where I sit, it will remain as it is. But banking itself as a service will end up on a device. And this will be a mobile.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you. I would like to say something which is both related but also slightly unrelated to the focus of today's discussion, and it extends into the times we're in with politics. There is some anxiety by many Ghanaians who find ourselves to be not gullible and foolish and believing everything that we read, whether it's in print, it's on air, it's outdoor, or it's online by email or on social media. That because of a few potential miscreants and what they might do, during the period of our elections, social media will be inaccessible. Well, first of all, it's not clear what we define as social media that will be inaccessible. Will all data services be inaccessible? Or is it WhatsApp and Facebook that will be off but we can exchange email? I believe in the power of what some people refer to as the moral majority. I think those of us who are a force for good far outweigh those who would like to use whatever means they have, whether physical or online, to do wrong. And I think the moral majority must win. I think all the services that enable us to communicate, share information, share what we've learned, what we know, what we believe, and what we know to be true, should be up, should be available, should be kept online, should be there. But then also we should make a commitment to use it. Referring to some of the comments Samuel Atamenta made earlier about using technology products for good versus for ill. Nuclear physics is used both for good and for ill, depending on where you stand. Everything that God has put on this earth and that human beings have developed is used for good and for ill. One uses a gun to hunt to feed their family. The other uses a gun to destroy other people's lives. Does that make a gun bad? One uses a knife to chop up tomatoes to make stew. The other uses a knife for other means. I don't think we should declare social media to be banned on the day of the elections because some people may use it for ill. They will. But so many more of us will use it for good and we should have access to it. That's what I'd like to share with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kofi Dadzi and Sam, finally.
Yeah, in conclusion, I think that technology, big data is creating a big opportunity, and I would want to urge both the public and especially the chamber to see how best it can utilize its position to bring together some kind of a forum where the youth
in the art sector, for example, we can tell you that that small girl who is a mobile money agent can also get a partner who is called a commodity verifier. And that guy finished University of Cape Coast or Legon Agriculture. Why? Because he's going to verify. Or a quality assurance person within the community. So we can now make sure we create modular, no physical borders, right? No structures, but the services are still delivered. And these are the things that we need. And I see that this is a big opportunity for the youth and employment today.
Thank you very much to Paul, Kofi, Andrew, and Ace. Gentlemen, you may please take your seats. Let's take a quick moment and hear from the board chair of the Data Protection Commission, Gataba.
Yeah, a word about data protection. Given the swirling around of huge data around the world, countries are finding it necessary to put into place measures to protect the personal data of individuals. This flows from, in our case, the constitutional right to privacy. So this is a dimension which hasn't been brought up, which I want to say a few words about. One hopes that most of the operators, most of the people who spoke are aware of the obligations of protection of data. This implies that once you collect personal data, you put into place measures to make sure that you collect data with the consent of the person from whom data emanates, and that you put into place protective measures so that you don't lose the data. And these are very important dimensions of this whole movement. As more and more data is generated, and as more and more data swirls around the world, and companies earn income from this data, on the other hand, you need to protect the data so that the rights of individuals to privacy are not jeopardized. And that is the mission of the Data Protection Commission of Ghana, which is one of the national agencies around the world which pursue this dimension of the digital world. So this is a kind of plug for the mission of the Ghana Data Protection Commission. I believe you may have seen some of the adverts and the jingles of the Data Protection Commission. We are a fairly new commission, and we're trying to raise our profile. We are going from the level of raising of consciousness to the level of enforcement, which means that the police and the attorney generals and so on will be on your track if you don't conform to the provisions of the act setting it up. I thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to give away 3 items. And my able magician's assistant is here with a sack full of telephone numbers. And I think the first draw will be done by Mrs. Kudor. Yes. Let's see what we have. So, whose telephone number ends with 7? Okay, it's not mine. Does your phone number end with 7? You do? But you work for Telco, right? And you? Okay. How about, does it have a 2 in it? It does, eh? That's everyone. 02 something something. Okay, look, let's just dial the number, and if your phone is on and you answer it, you've won. I don't want to mention the number. I just had a lecture on data protection, so we'll just dial it, and it's just between us.
Hello?
Hello? Where are you? You are disqualified. Number ends with a 9, and it's still not mine. Let's hope it's yours.
Yeah, hello?
He did say it was going to be him. Okay. You are with the media. Okay, and may I call Sylvia from Tigo to do the presentation. Long as it gets to him. Yes, there you go. Congratulations. Do we have a winner? Oh, hello! Yes. Please step forward. You won yourself a Nokia Lumia 530, and it will be presented by Efua Kranting. There you go. Efua Kranting works with ATC, the tower company. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Yes, thank you very much. It ends with 6, and if it happens to be the justice's own number, I won't disqualify you. In fact, the name that has popped up, you are already disqualified. This is Mr. Korsam's number. Sorry, you are disqualified. Let's pick another one. You are disqualified. You don't need, but you are a part of, you know. This one ends with 5. The future is bright. Imagine I'm the EC chairman. Okay, so we have a winner. Is that you? Okay, so let's identify you appropriately and see if I can quickly disqualify you. Yeah, from TV3. I see that. You're from the Finder. Oh, okay. You see, you guys, I almost disqualified you because someone from. Let's give him a round of applause. And he wins. What he wins a Phantom tablet from Techno. And let's call Mr. Gerhard Mensah to do the honors, please. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you all very much. Let's welcome Mr. Kweku Sechiado to give us a quick closing remark. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
It's been exciting for me. We didn't even touch on wearable technology, talking about health, and what the future of radio and television licensing, what with online radio and television, something for the regulator to think about. And I think it was, I can't remember who it was that talked about, maybe it was Andrew who talked about the next revolution before Christ will be the tech revolution. Is that what, Andrew? Yeah. Well, I think one thing is for sure, that the coming of Christ will be live streamed. I think that's for certain. And if you happen to go to hell or heaven, we'll get to see what happens on the other side, because there'll be WhatsApp. I'm sure God will ensure those in hell will have WhatsApp so they can see what heaven looks like. So sorry guys, you know, we'll be on the other side. So I want to invite, before I invite her, I want to mention one individual who's not here, who has played a key role in the establishment of the chamber, and that's Mr. Philip Soa, former Chief Executive of Airtel. He was also the first chair of the chamber. I'd like to invite Mrs. Hannah Agbozo, who is Director, Legal and External Affairs at Airtel, to give the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Kweku. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a wonderful morning. I was telling one of my colleagues that hasn't it been great? It hasn't been about us. And I think the information and the panel discussion has been very, very thought-provoking, and the description of it as a thought session really was apt. Shall we give a round of applause to our panel members? We want to thank Justice Jatiba, eminent jurist. I'm happy he finally got the opportunity to say something because he is one of our very foremost judges, and we need to acknowledge such men whenever we meet them. I want to thank Dr. Odoye as well, sir. Thank you for spending your time with us this morning and for the very, very salient points you made. The point about taking an X-ray on WhatsApp and sending it somewhere, I have actually experienced it. A relative had to go through that, and it was amazing. When I want to come to the panel members, and I'm going to be biased, I'm going to acknowledge my former boss first. It's Anna Nankoma, and also because his initials are AAA. Has anyone noticed that? Yeah. So my former boss is, thank you so much. And Mr. Andrew Techi Apia called Sam Kofi. That is, I think you're a philosopher engineer, right? The things you said were so thought-provoking. Folks, we are in the digital era. That's what one of the panel members said. We've gone digital. And we need to get onto the bandwagon and see how we can use this very, very valuable resource to enhance our lives. The challenges will be there, but what we have heard this morning over and over again, that these challenges are supposed to be seen as opportunities that we should think about and see how we can improve our lives. We've gone digital. Think about it. Everything that you do when you wake up in the morning till night, how can you use technology to make it better? What we have done here at the Telecom Chamber is to provide the platform. And we will also continue to improve in our technologies. I was surprised that Samens was saying we shouldn't evolve to become banks. As my CEO said, telcos will never metamorphose into banks. We won't do that. But surely, if the technology allows us to do something more to improve the lives of people, I think the advantage should be taken of that. So this morning, we hope we have been able to provide an opportunity for you to see where technology is going, and most importantly, that we've managed to win you over to be our advocates, to talk for ICT, to talk for telecoms. So when you have an opportunity to engage with regulators, like the gentleman over there said, how can we make telecom and the business of telecom more enabling so that more investments can come in, so that the Ghanaian will take advantage of all the evolving technologies to improve our lives. Thank you all for coming, for spending your morning with us almost noon, and we appreciate and hope that you'll be around some other time when we call you again. Thank you.